A prominent Yale professor who studies fascism is leaving the U.S. amid the Trump administration's crackdown on universities and colleges. Jason Stanley, author of How Fascism Works, The Politics of Us and Them, is departing the hallowed Ivy League school to teach in Toronto, telling a philosophy website the reason is, quote, entirely because of the political climate in the United States. This comes as the Trump administration threatens to withhold funding for preeminent institutions like Columbia, which capitulated to the administration over so-called security reforms. And as grad students from Columbia and Tufts are among scholars now detained by immigration enforcement after their involvement in pro-Palestinian protests or riots. Professor and author Jason Stanley joins us now. Professor, thanks for taking the time with us. You cited the current political environment in this country as why you're leaving, why you're heading to Canada. Is it impeding you from teaching what and how you'd want to teach?
Oh, absolutely not. Yale has, to this extent, protected its scholars, unlike Columbia, who forced, for example, Catherine Frank, a prominent law professor, into early retirement. So it has nothing to do with me. It has everything to do with my children and my desire to send a warning to Americans that is consonant with the work I've been doing.
You talk about Columbia submitting to the White House's demands after the threats to withhold federal funding. I mean, some of what they agreed to are new rules for protests, more security officers that can make arrests, new leadership to oversee certain academic programs like Middle East studies. You called Columbia's capitulation a warning. How so?
Well, Americans don't really understand some of the details. They put the department, never before has the federal government intervened to put a department into receivership, much less an excellent department like the Department of Middle Eastern Studies at Columbia University. And it's not new leadership. They're going to appoint perhaps a non-academic, it's someone who's obviously going to intervene in academic affairs. They're very serious about this. Receivership is only meant for when professors in a department dislike each other so much they can't be in the same room together. And needless to say, this crackdown, Columbia's capitulation to this is a grave sign about the future of academic freedom, in addition to, say, hauling people off the street and sending them to Louisiana prisons like they did at Tufts University for co-authoring op-eds in the student newspaper.
Yeah, I mean, it's Tufts, it's Columbia, Georgetown, the University of Minnesota. I mean, we keep learning of new cases of grad students or other academics being detained by ICE. And I'll note that these are people who are here legally. They have permanent residence. They're, on student visas. Secretary of State Marco Rubio said last week that these cases are just the beginning. What is the message this administration is sending by detaining these scholars and prioritizing this sort of a crackdown?
The message is that they're going to do a kind of stochastic terrorism against our country. They're going to target people one by one so that those who are in fear will shut up, essentially. And universities are filled with fear already. They're ceasing to make public statements. They're not banding together. Right now, they're targeting non-citizens for, writing in student newspapers. I'm sure, or I suspect, they'll start pulling people's passports, targeting U.S. citizens for various reasons, and exploiting Americans' ignorance. Generally, we don't know about each other's workplaces. Exploiting Americans' ignorance about academic freedom, and they're trying to, and I fear they will succeed in destroying America's higher education system, which is by far the best in the world.
I wonder, there are probably people watching this right now thinking, well, you have a lot to say. You are an American citizen. Why not stay and try to be the change you're seeking? Why not be part of the pushback to this sort of behavior?
I will continue to throw punches against fascism and bullies from Canada. Don't worry. I have 2 Black and Jewish kids. I think my kids actually are more important to me than anything else. They're using my religion to go after academic freedom, crushing universities supposedly in the name of protecting my people, American Jews. My kids are Jewish. My kids are black. They're attacking their history. And I want to send a political message, as I've been doing with my work. This comes at great personal cost. This is not I'm taking a huge salary cut. I'm not a super wealthy person. I'll still be well paid, but I'm taking like a 25% salary cut, moving myself from my homeland that I love. And I love America because it doesn't have kings. I don't love America because we can punch other people in the nose.
And so we're seeing President Trump consolidate power, pushing to quiet dissent, pressuring law firms and universities, detaining scholars. He's also attacking the judiciary and any judges who block or question his policies. How would you describe this moment for America?
It is a brutal attack on America's freedoms. It's an attack specifically on our democratic institutions, the legal system, the courts and universities, and the media. And these institutions the media has been attacking universities for a decade. They've been doing Trump's work for him. So that doesn't help when the democratic institutions are working against each other. And each of these institutions, in the face of this attack on democracy and this attack on freedom by a ruler who's completely saying he wants to be a king, and a political party that's behaving like communist China and lining up 100% against him. In the face of this, universities are turning on each other, are saying, oh, we don't want to be in the public, we're going to hide under the table. Law firms stealing each other's clients. So it's not a positive development, and I'm going to continue calling it out from the University of Toronto.
Jason Stanley, let's keep in touch. Thank you very much for being on our show and providing your perspective and some expertise as well. We appreciate it.